This past Saturday, October 9th, saw a historical battle between heavyweights. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder faced each other in the third and final chapter in their saga. This is the tale of privilege and denial, an ode in boxing. Let's talk about it. And so the chapter has closed, the final chapter between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The third fight has taken its own narrative as both men displayed the type of courage, determination, focus, and fortitude that boxing fans clamor for when they watch the greats at their divisions in boxing compete for superiority. Hats off to Tyson Fury for his victory. This is something that is hard to really conceptualize, knowing the backdrops of everything that took place from the first fight through this third and final stanza. Fury has shown us all something in this trilogy. The best man doesn't always win, but sometimes when you win, you actually lose. What does that mean? There's no riddles here. Fury entered the first and second fight with some questionable ethics. Though he was granted an opportunity by WBC champion at the time, Deontay Wilder, there was no graciousness in this, which is why when the third fight concluded, immediately after, Deontay Wilder had nothing to say to Fury when he came over to Wilder's corner, congratulating him on the fight. Wilder turned away Fury's advances, and he let him know he didn't respect him. There was nothing about respect during this whole ordeal, this entire trilogy. The media didn't respect Wilder. The WBC didn't respect Wilder, who held their championship title for 5 years and through 10 title defenses represented himself as a true people's champion. Notwithstanding, people may not have enjoyed the style that he had or the confidence of which he spoke in. It seemed to put people at odds with him. But during this entire time, the people's champion, Deontay Wilder, represented himself well. Fury, a man who has displayed questionable ethic throughout his career, is talented enough to be the one man at the top of the division to get in there with Wilder and display his own skill set, albeit behind other questionable aspects, which were unnecessary. The truth is what it is. Coming out of their second fight, Wilder sustained injuries that were not consistent with the sport of boxing. The media has never spoke of this. The WBC has never offered to investigate this. They were only happy to do away with the Bronze Bomber, the man who was knocking every opponent down, if not out, in each of his subsequent fights since his professional career started. There was something that they didn't bank on, though, with this third fight. The courage, the championship mettle and heart that Deontay displayed in this third fight was unconscionable by his detractors. Windmill Wilder, as soon as someone puts it to him, he'll fail, he'll falter. Some even call Wilder a bully. And in the second fight, Fury did bully Wilder. Wilder was not the bully. As he said in a press conference, he's a nun compared to some of these guys in the sport of boxing. But he's a fighter who fights for more than what people realize. He represents more than what people realize. And even as he found himself on the canvas in this fight, he got up, he fought on, he fought valiantly. He stated in the aftermath that his equilibrium was off as early as the third round, but he continued to press forward against a man who outweighed him 40 plus 50 pounds. Wilder showed something that a lot of people would not be able to put on display. Determination. The will to press forward and to press on. Even after dropping Fury in the fourth and breaking his hand, wearing a set of gloves that he opted to wear because he wanted to be on level playing ground with Fury. That may have been the only bad decision he made going into this fight, because he punches so hard that he injured himself. But to continue to persevere until the fateful 11th round, Wilder showed us all something. Champions get up. Champions fight on. Champions go out on their shield. But let it be said, the injuries sustained in that second fight probably carried over into this third match. the dent in the side of his head, the permanent mark. Something else the scribes and everyone outside, the detractors, never wanted to acknowledge. The indentation in the left side of his face that Fury attacked with fervor in the third fight. And each and every time he landed solidly with impact, there was some type of effect it had on Wilder. Something that he hadn't encountered before in his career prior to the second fight. But he fought on. He soldiered on. When he put Fury down, Fury benefited from another long count. A familiar sentiment from the second fight, a long count by Jack Reese, who actually yelled and shouted in Tyson Fury's face and ear, the count. But anyone who witnessed Fury on the canvas in this third fight, he had the look of a defeated man. And as the referee, Mora, took his time to put Wilder in a neutral corner after the knockdown, he didn't pick up the count from the ringside timekeeper. He picked the count up from where he stopped, granting Fury more time on the canvas to get up. But the look on Fury's face was not the look of someone who wanted to continue. Had Deontay Wilder not broken his hand in that instance, you may have seen something different. But again, the powers that be don't talk about these things. The media, the scribes that cover the sport. Oh yes, they said that this was a great fight. Action-packed, both men hitting the canvas twice, with Wilder finally succumbing by KO in the 11th. But the details, the proof in the pudding, there are things that just simply went under the radar. And detractors find themselves wanting to ignore the obvious. Just because you want to see someone lose, you don't want to acknowledge what you're really witnessing. Take a close-up look of this indentation in Wilder's head, which Fury attacked ferociously over and over and over again. It's not difficult to understand how this man equilibrium could be off if there is such a permanent injury from the second fight. The one thing I will acknowledge is this: Fury fought hard as well, but he had advantages. He had assistance. That cannot be denied. But I wonder what it would have been like to have a little bit more sentiment, support, and consideration for the American fighter here from the American base. Could that have made a difference? Being objective, having a sense of understanding of what's going on, would that make a difference? I believe it would. In 1974, when Muhammad Ali went to Kinshasa, Zaire, to face George Foreman, heavyweight champion at the time, the people in Zaire adopted Ali as a son. At the time, Ali was not a popular man in America. He was well known for the sound bites in his battle against the U.S. government for draft evasion. But in Zaire, he was a superhero. He was someone the people loved. And I believe it was that type of love and sentiment that assisted with his courage. It was just the thing he needed to push him over the top to be able to defeat Foreman. But here in America, during this fight, Wilder took right hand after right hand after right hand from Fury as the fight went on. And what was holding him up? Defiance. The defiance against the privilege that Fury has been able to enjoy throughout this trilogy. That's why this video is called Privilege and Denial, Ode to the Shade in Boxing. And just as Wilder tumbled to the canvas in that 11th round after that final right hand from Fury, this was the shade in boxing prevailing. What do I mean by that? The establishment never wanted Deontay Wilder to be the undisputed heavyweight champion. They didn't respect the way he fought. They didn't respect the victories that he had achieved and attained. He was not what they wanted to be representative of the sport of boxing as undisputed. That is denial. They made certain that the man who had earned the right wouldn't have that right. But he still stands tall as a champion, and he'll be champion again as long as he wants to put his mind to it and return to the business at hand. As for others, Fury, you have to remember, he was down on the canvas several times during this trilogy. And as the person that was allowed special favor to get up, to continue, we never heard anything about drug tests. We never heard anything questioning the fact that the fight couldn't take place on July 24th as originally scheduled. The only thing we know is what's been on show, what's been on display. And to me, I read through all of this because privilege and denial are the keys to this story. This is Stormy B Man. That's my final editorial on the trilogy between Wilder and Fury, Fury and Wilder. Peace.